show here.
Then you don't believe that you can really define it then, or you haven't been able to really define it. It's actually, if you're going to...
Let me be very honest with you. I've never tried.
Do you know anybody that has really tried and worked
there are billions of words written on the topic, and I would advise you to...
I mean, do you know if anybody that has real data? I mean,
yes, there's a lot of people who have data.
Yes.
And, in fact, you can go witness the data yourself if you ever want to try to take one of those little trips out of the body.
Yeah, right.
And you can go into that astral realm.
Right.
Where...
could you suggest anybody that's...
Oh, yes, the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences has a seminar coming up, I think, the latter part of this next month. I'll tell you more about that later. And they get you out of body. They haven't gotten me out of body yet. I haven't been able to pull that one off. I've walked on the hot coals, but I haven't been able to go out of body yet.
Okay,
Everybody in L.A. goes out of body but Bill.
Okay, thanks a lot. Dr. Nevis, keep up the work we need to find out.
Thank you very much.
Cliff, look up the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences. They have a Western office, and they can be very, very helpful into your questions. And their first hour is over. We just sat down. We just got off the freeway. But it always happens that fast. What a night we have. We have another hour to go. Dr. Morris Netterton is with us. We're talking about past life therapy, the effect of past lives on this life. They are quite often profound. And it might be well for you to think about some of those things that you're experiencing and wondering where they're coming from. And we'll have another hour to talk about them, so stay with us. Bill Jenkins, and with me, Dr. Morris Netterton. We're talking about past life therapy. We're talking about reincarnation. We're talking about how these two facts of life have a lot to do with the life you're leading right now, the problems that you have. We've had some questions about what it's like on the other side. We'll get a chance to find out about that, too, next week. I might remind you that Thomas Jacobson will be here, and Dr. Peoples will join us, as Thomas is a trance medium. He'll go into trance, and Dr. Peoples will answer your question. He is amazing. Have you ever heard Dr. Peoples? He astounds everyone. That's just not fair that he knows all of those things. And we did some research on Dr. Peoples and found out that this man did exist.
How about that?
And he wrote some incredible books back in the... I've got a book that was published in 1886. Now, Thomas, unless he's listening tonight, doesn't know that I have that book. I'm going to spring that on Dr. Peoples next week.
See?
And say, I've got a picture of him, in fact.
Oh.
Great big beard, everything like that. Well, let's go on to our callers. Ben has been waiting on the line for a long time. Ben, welcome aboard.
Yeah, well, thanks. Hey, when I first got on, my stomach was all vibrating. I thought, God, this is exactly what I do, and here's someone representing it, and that's real wonderful.
Hey, what do you do, Ben?
I'm a past life regressor.
Are you?
Yeah.
You use hypnotism?
Yeah, most of the time, not all the time, depending on the person and what I'm dealing with, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hypnotism is very effective for, problems.
Do you have a question for Morris, or you two just want to do a little bit of shop talk here?
Well, if you want to, that's okay, too. But, yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to bring up, Morris, and I wanted, if you would to comment on these. And the first thing is, during the human continuum, in other words, during the time that the being experiences being a human and going through that experience of the various human lives, have you, from your data, developed a context within which that's happening? Like, not the context that's offered maybe like by Alice Bailey or, all the others that are popular. Have you developed an exact context that you've seen yourself happening?
Talk some more.
Okay, well, in terms of a context, I mean, what's the bigger picture that the reincarnation is happening in? In other words, that's part of a drama in a larger play. Have you tapped into much, have your clients, tapped into much of that larger drama that's going on?
Do you mean a larger overview of what their individual growth is, or...?
Yes, yeah. In other words, they may be experienced. Seems like that most of the people I'm dealing with have experienced anywhere from 10 to 30 human lives. That seems to be about it for this human continuum experience.
Oh, my dear friend, go back and count again.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at the animal level and comes forward for millenniums of time.
Now that's what I'm starting to talk about. In other words, as a human being, they experience so many lives, and then, of course, before that, they start to go down to the different various kingdoms.
Have you stopped to think how many times you can be conceived, miscarried, and reconceived, and it's just a period of 100 years?
Sure. Myself, personally,
I stopped counting my own past lives at 350.
Wow, that many.
Dr. Peoples told me I had great patience because I had been a rock once.
Well, I remember experiencing being birds and, other things too, But I was talking more about, like, the context. In other words, have, some philosophy developed about how existence creates itself, what it's doing.
I put the context of, and it seems for the work that I do, and it is, I keep it very literal and I'm very pinpointed, but I put it in the context of a pregnancy. The soul of man is aiming to return to, in a big circle, if you want to use that,
sure.
to it's going back where it came from, but it's going back and it's going to return perfect. When a child is conceived, it has existed prior to that genetically in both parents. It has already existed. It just exists in a different form. At the point of conception, it will begin its developmental stage at the bottom of that stage, which is the embryo, the zygote. It will continue moving developmentally toward the top of that stage, which is at the end of 9 months delivery. The soul, I think, does the same thing, and I think that's the context that I seem to be continually working in.
Okay, yeah. Given that that's your own personal environment, that would be the environment that would come to you.
Right.
Yeah, and also next, I've done a lot of work, and apparently I existed during the time of the crucifixion and was there at that drama, and I've drawn in an awful lot of clients that have been there. Have you drawn in any, and have you got any pictures of what really happened there, and anything that's realistic about the man Jesus?
In my first book, the publishers insisted on using episodes that I had coming in the practice.
Wonderful. Oh.
There were 5 listed in the book. Since then, there has been about 13 or 14 independent people in session giving the exact same details and the exact same scene and happenings, and giving it sometimes a year and a half to 2 years apart without knowing each other. There were not 3 people crucified, according to what I find. There were hundreds. The hills were covered with them. The entire scene was one of revulsion and fear, and there is a phrase which I give to people to do with what they will. I make nothing of it myself because I don't really know what to make of it, but I have heard it repeated by these people independently of each other, time after time after time. I think that this phrase runs consistently through 9 of the episodes.
My point on this, of course, is that a large portion of the world, which is supposed to be like the sort of the elite coming from the heart, worships this man Jesus, and I find that maybe there's only a few of us who really know what Jesus was truly like, and these people are worshiping a myth. And I find that real upsetting, and I'm wondering whether you could talk about the man Jesus at all and any conclusions that you've drawn about him so these people will have something real to hold on to.
The main conclusion that I've come to with regards to that is that he was of the Essene priesthood, where he learned mass hypnosis, crowd control, pain control, and all the other things that people have to know to do what he set out in life to do. I don't think that detracts from what he was. And I certainly think, yes, my son, at one point in his life, said, I think Jesus is probably looking down from heaven and saying, what in the world are you people doing all that for? And I think there was a greater truth in that than what the adults wanted to admit.
So I'm just so thrilled that you're on the planet doing this work and sharing it with people so they can actually take this next step in consciousness, to the way it really is. And God bless you both. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay with it.
Best of luck in your work, Dan.
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
And keep in touch on what you're finding out.
Right.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
All right. I'm Bill Jenkins. It's Open Mind. With me tonight, Dr. Morris Netherton.
Dr. Morris, I want to make this short so that I won't make it too confusing. I have a son who's 30. He has been diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic.
Yes.
Now, he had a very bad birthing. He was a preemie, and he almost died. Now, as you say, something is bothering him, and it's something very explosive. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Those 2 diagnoses themselves tell you what it is to try and cope with this man.
Right.
What I want to know is, if this is from a past life experience, it must be terrible. I'd say it's awful. So, do you think you could help him?
Well, first of all, one of the first places that we start looking for schizophrenia is in birth.
In birth.
We find many times that the use of drugs?
Oh, no. None. Nothing.
He